Okay, hello everyone. You're watching the Asian American Herald, a new media network featuring the Asian Americans of the Capital Region of New York. You can also watch a recording of this show and all of our previous shows from our Facebook page, American Herald of the Capital Region. My name is Shruti Natanmai, and I'm a student at the Fashion Institute of Technology, writer and creative who's born and raised in the Capital Region. Tonight, we're honored to speak with Aneesa Waheed, the founder and executive chef of Thara Kitchen, a restaurant that brings a modern take on the traditional flavors of Morocco to Schenectady, Troy, and now Guilderland, New York. In addition to the restaurants themselves, Chef Aneesa has also created a line of ready-to-use, all-natural, and preservative-free cooking sauces that are available on their website as well as select grocery stores. Aneesa, welcome to our show.
Well, thank you for having me.
Of course, thank you for coming. So for those of just a brief note, for those of you tuning in live, feel free to submit any questions via the chat box. Ashok Adikopla will be monitoring the chat, and we will address your questions at the end of the show if time permits. Okay, so let's get started then. So first of all, as an award-winning and groundbreaking chef and businesswoman, we're honored to be able to speak with you and discuss the inspiration and process behind your restaurant. So I'd like to get started by asking you to take a minute to introduce yourself and tell us a little bit more about what you do and what inspired you to open Thara Kitchen.
Hello, everyone. My name is Aneesa Waheed. I own Thara Kitchen, which is a line of restaurants in the Capital Region. We have one in Schenectady, one in Troy, and we're building one in Guilderland right now. And as Shruti mentioned, we also have a line of cooking sauces. And I've kind of been in this food space for about 10 years now. Prior to this, I actually worked in print and publishing in New York City, working in different aspects of production and technology and workflow management. And, you know, it just got to a point after doing that for about 10 years, I wanted to have a little bit more control on my own time and finances and destiny and what you have. So I decided to get into business, and that's really how we started, getting into food and that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm. What's the story behind Thara Kitchen?
So Thara Kitchen, to understand the story of Thara Kitchen, you need to go back like 10, 15 years before Thara Kitchen.
Okay.
As a young college student, I actually went to school for fine arts and graphic design. I always thought I wanted to end up doing something within the arts world. Mm-hmm. And I also wanted to do something where I could be my own boss. I come from a background and family which we're basically all workers, really don't have a extensive business background, but I thought that was one way that I could maybe make some new inroads and create a new future for myself. So I've been thinking about trying to get into the business world for a long time, probably since college. And I've tried multiple different things. I had a lunch delivery business. I had a graphic design business. I had a web development business. I mean, I did street fairs. I had a boutique. So I've done a tremendous amount of stuff even prior to the opening of Thara Kitchen. And so it's, one thing led to another. Part of it was not really even knowing that I wanted to be in food. So the goal never was, I'm going to open a Moroccan restaurant. The goal was, I want to create financial independence for myself that is independent of corporate America, if that makes sense.
Yeah, definitely.
So it was like different things, and it was very organic. One thing led to another. You try some stuff, it doesn't work. And ultimately I ended up in Moroccan food because I had gone to Morocco on a trip in, I think, 2006. And I ended up meeting someone there who was from Pakistan, and then we ended up getting married. And I subsequently spent a lot of time in Morocco. Aside from that, I love the food, the culture. And when I first started thinking about doing food in the Capital Region, I thought, well, what can we do that would be different and unique, and also something that I really liked. and that's how I got into the whole Moroccan food.
Yeah, that's great. Is there a specific part of Moroccan cuisine or culture that kind of caught your attention the most? That led
I mean, I think it's the tagines, you know, these, which is what we do a lot of. The tagines are slow cooked, simmered stews in a clay pot. And I just love the depth of flavor. I love the ingredients. I just love everything about tagines. So it was interesting to me to learn how to cook in a pot like that and to put those flavors together. And then, you know, when you come from having an Indian history with food and our relationship to food, I mean, we are raised, and maybe to some extent also true, to believe that it's the greatest food in the world, right? So
yeah.
and we have a lot of ingrained ideas on how to cook food and what we're supposed to do with ingredients. So that was really interesting for me to unlearn a lot of that stuff, so then I could learn a new cuisine.
Yeah, that sounds like a great learning process. And I feel like since you had so many different businesses before, all your successes and failures from all of that kind of
Yeah, absolutely.
to create something great like this. Yeah. So throughout the process of both establishing and, as you said, expanding Tara Kitchen, what would you say was the most difficult barrier or challenge that you experienced?
Just, you know, like like one thing doesn't stick to come to mind, but it's like every time you're doing something, there are always barriers and always difficulties, whether it's financial or whether it's time, or right now with COVID, right? We were in the process of uh, closing on our property in Guilderland so we could open the Guilderland location, but then COVID hit like mid-Feb, early March, and everything kind of came to a grinding halt. So, you know, these are challenges that happen every single day, whether it's staffing issues or whether it's, you know, competition or staying relevant, like all of that kind of stuff. But I would say, you know, of all of it, I guess the toughest part would have been the original opening of the first restaurant, right? This is 2011. The first time we're going to open a restaurant, you know, I really didn't know much about opening one, running one, let alone cooking in one, all of those kind of things. So, you know, and I was pregnant. I found out I was pregnant, and I had an 8-month-old baby already.
Okay.
And we were trying to open our first restaurant. So it was extremely challenging.
Yeah.
I would say, you know, once you've been through that, everything else feels like cakewalk.
Yeah, I can imagine. Is there like a certain, like, what helped you get through that time?
The idea that failure is not an option, and also, what are your options, right? You've given up your job in New York, because I had given up my job in New York and moved to back home, which is upstate over here. So I knew that I did not want to go back to working in corporate America. So, you know, it's the idea that you just have to keep going and find, you know, you have to find a way. There are no problems, there are only solutions.
That's a good way to look at it. um, so a little over a year ago, you were a contestant on an episode of the Food Network show Beating Bobby Flay. So
Yeah.
first of all, that's such an amazing accomplishment. That's so fun. But tell us a bit about that experience and what you took from it. I saw that and I was so excited. But I love that show.
It's great. It was good fun, and you know, I they found the restaurant through the internet, and I guess, you know, producers are always looking for new chefs and new restaurants to bring on. So they found me. They asked me to come on, and I thought, hey, why not? You know, it's not necessarily in my bag of tricks. You know what I mean? Like, competing and doing that kind of cooking and being in that kind of space and having that you know, the mental capacity to like operate within those parameters that they give you, it's like a sport.
Yeah.
But it was fun. I had a great time. The whole process takes a long time. It's like 6 to 8 months before you even film the show. So it's
Okay.
still this long relationship with the team, and there's a lot of stuff that goes into actually that 30-minute episode. And yeah, it was great. It's brought great publicity to the restaurant. It's definitely brought us a tremendous amount of national eyes on the restaurant. We got lots of
Hmm.
leads because of it. Overall, just a really fantastic, fun experience. I couldn't, I mean, it would have been nice to beat him, but other than that,
Yeah. Do you feel you took something like specific from that experience? Like any
to be honest with you, that's not my comfort zone. So it's
Mhm.
not something that I really wanted to do. And I really struggled with, do I want to even go on the show and not do it and all that kind of stuff? Because who
Right.
likes to lose, right?
Yeah.
And in some ways, you're guaranteed a loss on that show. So I was like, I don't know, I don't know how I'm going to feel. So the fact that I did it itself was monumental for me personally,
Yeah.
even though I might seem a rather confident person, and I do take a tremendous amount of risks on a daily basis. I mean, I run restaurants for a living, so you would think I'm a risk taker, but I was not very confident going in. Um,
Right.
for me, on a personal level, that was a huge thing that I did it. And, and the end result was, it was fun. It was great. It was really good publicity for the restaurant. And who knows what else happens, right?
Yeah, definitely. That's a really good personal milestone. And I mean, either way, like you said, you got so much publicity from it. And I mean, you get to say that you were on Beating Bobby Flay. Like, if all else fails, you get to say that. Like, that's amazing. So now that you've been on that show and you're expanding your restaurants, where do you hope to take Tara Kitchen in the future? Do you have any like specific goals or aspirations?
Yeah, I would like for it to be a global brand.
Okay.
Moroccan food has not had its moment on the global food scene. It's
Right.
actually quite popular in Europe, just because of proximity, right?
Hmm.
Also popular in America. So I think that I would love, first I would like to take it national here. I want to keep growing as many locations as we possibly can. New York City, Saratoga, Boston, Texas, Montreal, like whatever is possible. We want to continue growing the physical locations of the restaurant, but I also want to take the line of cooking sauces that we have. That's such a great way to experience Moroccan flavors in your home. We're already on Amazon, and we sell in Whole Foods and that kind of stuff. But I would like for it to be. It has the potential to be a international product. Uh,
Hmm.
so I have 2 kids, and hopefully they grow up and help me do this.
Yeah. And I think you have created, I feel like before Tara Kitchen in the capital region, a lot of people had not even, like you said, tried Moroccan food because it's not so popular here.
Yeah.
Even, I mean, I go to school in New York City, and even in New York City, I've
Yeah, I
seen.
think all of New York City, they have 6 Moroccan restaurants.
Okay.
And even the 6 that they have, I have not really found them to really have an expansive or a truly authentic menu and that kind of stuff. So it's really interesting to me because I find the cuisine fascinating. I think it has a tremendous amount of breadth and scope in flavor profile, and just in what it can bring. So it's
Right.
interesting to me that it has not really had its moment. But
Yeah.
that's
But
why I'm here.
I mean, exactly. No, I think you are creating that demand for Moroccan food in the capital region and elsewhere if you do expand. And like you said, it's an amazing cuisine that doesn't get the recognition it
Yeah,
deserves. So
yeah.
it's amazing that you're bringing recognition to that. Um, is there, so obviously the current pandemic. I know you spoke upon this a bit ago, but the current pandemic has imposed certain difficulties on all businesses, and especially the restaurant industry. But how has it tested Tara Kitchen specifically?
I mean, I would say before the COVID quarantine ban, 90%, 95% of my business was dine-in.
Mm-hmm.
We're considered a place to go and hang out and watch the cooking because we have open kitchens and we serve in tagine. So there's a lot of fun and drama, and there's a lot of appeal to being in the restaurant to eat the food. So we never ever focused on takeout. We had never focused on deliveries. And literally like overnight, we were told that everything that we know about our business now is shut down. And now we have, if we chose to operate, these were the limitations within which we had to operate. And so what do? You know your limitations, and then you operate within those. And that's what we did. We immediately pivoted to a takeout model. We had to change a lot of process and workflow within the restaurant to accommodate for that. We had to relearn some of the ways we were cooking and prepping so that we could package. Something as simple as when you make a tagine, it's about 100, 110 degrees in temperature when it's coming off the stove. You put it in a plastic container. You cannot actually put a lid on it right away. So now we have to wait. So there was lots of things that we had to look at in order to change our process and our workflow so that we could, pivot to this takeout model. And then you have to think about who's going to actually do takeout. How comfortable do people feel about it? And who wants to? Is this a financial luxury? Is it a necessity? You know what I mean? There's a lot of questions to add. And the best thing, the best thing that you can do is just keep going. And I brought the team together and I said, okay, we will keep operating as long as they let us operate. And we'll keep reaching out to our customer base, letting them know what we're doing, how we're doing, and then let the chips fall where they may, right? It's not that this was happening to me in a vacuum. This was happening to the whole world. Right. So there's really no need, at least for me, I felt there was no need to panic or freak out or, have a knee-jerk reaction to the situation. Even today, we just take it day by day. It's like, what's happening today? What's happening with the government? What's happening with the city? How does the staff feel? How do you feel? I mean, this is unprecedented. Nobody really knows how to operate right now.
Yeah, and there's so many moving parts, like you said. Like there's no way to plan it out to the T.
No. So you just take your. You get up in the morning and you see what's going to happen, and then we've always been a very proactive company, but now we are a reactive company, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Every day we have to see what's happening and then react to that situation, rather than saying, well, this is what we're going to do on Tuesday. Who knows? Tomorrow morning we could wake up and the governor could say, guess what, guys? Everything is shut down, or anything can happen. So we're just reacting to whatever is happening in the market space right now.
I mean, I agree with you. I think that's the most effective way to go about it, especially when so many things are changing constantly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you feel that this pandemic or the changes that you're making to your restaurants currently, do you feel that it has changed your outlook on maintaining a business in comparison to when you started?
No, but you know what it has done, which has been really interesting for me as a entrepreneur, is it has really solidified the model that we have is a working model. So, as when I first started the restaurant, it was like, okay, we'll start this tiny little shop. We'll do this. So we had very, very small goals that we accomplished 10 years ago. Let's not fail this month. Let's make sure we pay bills this month, or, whatever our small goals were. And then 5 years into the business, we had some bigger goals and larger goals. And one of the struggles that we have constantly had is, do we continue to grow as this small scale business, or do we go large scale in, just in fewer locations, right?
Right.
So we've been struggling with that. And, I think that the model that we have right now is what's going to save us and get us through COVID. I think it's easier for this sort of the QSR model, fast food service model, to survive than it is maybe, some of the bigger models. So it's definitely helped us realize that, at least what we're doing is on the right track.
Right. No, that's great. That's very reassuring, I can imagine.
Yes, yes.
So, speaking of the pandemic, how are you occupying yourself while social distancing?
I don't have any time where I need to worry about how am I occupying myself.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair.
For the most part, it's, I work about 14 hours a day.
Wow.
So it's most of the time it's at work.
Yeah. Are you putting most of your time into developing this Guilderland location now?
No, I mean, those are things that always happen in the background, right? Like growth and planning and all that's always happening in the background. But right now, 90% of my time, or maybe 99% of my time, is just making sure that all our current businesses, including Troy and Schenectady and Amazon and all our manufacturing of our products, all of the stuff that we already have, our assets, are protected. That's priority number one right now.
Right. That's very fair. And going forward, I feel like that's a very, like you said, reacting to the situation. I think that's very smart. So do you have any final thoughts to offer to our listeners during this rather unique time, whether it be for businesses, entrepreneurs, just citizens of the capital region?
It's just been such a challenging time, and it's been, emotionally draining for a lot of people. And I think talking about this and acknowledging how you feel about it, and that's something that I tell my kids, and also my husband, who, he's this sort of really buttoned up Pakistani guy. It's like we don't talk about stuff, but
Yeah.
But I think like what's happening right now, it's really, really important to talk about, how it's okay to feel sad. It's okay to feel angry. It's okay to feel helpless. There's a part of you that wants to say, well, at least we are sheltered in place in our beautiful homes. And, we have, and then there are people, yes, it's all very true, but that doesn't mean that your reality is also not affecting you in a negative way, right?
Right.
And it's okay to acknowledge that. You can be happy that you are safe and you have, creature comforts, and it's also sad to feel that you don't have access to your friends, and your daily routine has been disrupted. We're humans,
right.
So I think talking about it and acknowledging it is really important for all of us.
Right. Do you have any specific methods that you yourself use to try and like get into that mindset and be more aware and like okay with talking about what you're experiencing?
Yeah, I think that when you start to feel overwhelmed, when things start to feel like unbearable, when you feel negative feelings like anger or hatred or frustrations and all that stuff, that's when you really know that, okay, I need to stop and either write it out or talk it out. And so when I start to feel overwhelmed, or when I get this feeling that I'm drowning in just open space, it's overwhelming. And I have a lot going on all the time, but this has definitely been extremely challenging. And that's when I know that, okay, when my ears start ringing, I know I need to stop.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
Listen to your body. I think nobody knows when you need to do something better than you yourself.
That's very true. That's, yeah. I think a lot of people, like you said, struggle with um, talking about the negative impacts of this pandemic, just because, I mean, there's always something you could be thankful for,
Yeah.
but as you said, it's not practical or logical to just ignore the rest of it in
Yeah.
the name of being thankful.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's very important.
I think so many people struggle with that balance too, even if they're not maintaining a business, just
Yeah.
be
No, I mean,
frustrated at work.
we definitely are in a much better position than so many people out in the world. And when you see the news, and my daughter said to me this morning, she was like, "I wish we had a large mansion, and I wish all the poor people just lived with us." It was,
Oh, that's so nice.
I know, it was the sweetest thing to say. And so you see like all the stuff that's happening in the news, and it's just it's really hurtful and upsetting. But I think that we should still validate how we are feeling as well.
Right. No, definitely. Well, those were some good words to leave everyone off with. And I want to wish you Eid Mubarak.
Oh, thank you so much.
Yeah, so you donate meals every week too. That's very sweet of you. Definitely doing your part for the capital region. And aside from everything else that you do, that's amazing.
Thank you, Shruti. It was nice chatting with you.
Yeah. So thank you everyone for joining us for what has been our seventh Asian American Herald show. I'm Shrutina Tanmai, and our wonderful guest for today was Aneesa Waheed. The Asian American Herald is a Facebook-based news media outlet dedicated to discussing topics and building community amongst Asian Americans in the capital region. So please send us story ideas and look for the recording of this show on our Facebook page. Have a good evening, and thank you again. Thank you so much for talking with us.
Of course. Thank you. Have a good night.